Hi, this is Peggy from Roar. So our guest today is Anna Foat. So Anna is the Director of Global Digital Transformation at Sunlife Financial. So Sunlife is a leading insurer and wealth manager. So Anna, thank you so much for being with us today.
It's absolutely my pleasure, Peggy. Thank you for having me.
And you have a tremendous experience in financial services, in healthcare, and obviously in digital transformation. So really looking forward to hearing your thoughts. So let's get started. So from your perspective, what would be some of the major lasting impacts of COVID in the financial services industry?
I'm really hoping that the good that comes out of this crisis is that the sorts of decisions that people are making and the velocity with which the decisions are being made continues post-pandemic. I think, obviously, especially in Canada, we're very cautious and conservative, and sometimes we lack the gene to kind of take the bull by the horns and take calculated risks. And I've watched many FIs in Canada and beyond test and do things that perhaps 6 months ago, a year ago, would have maybe taken years or maybe never happened because they'd lose the momentum and inertia would set in. So I'm really hopeful that the one positive thing that comes out is that, there's less risk in taking risks than maybe some FIs have traditionally believed.
That's wonderful, and I can definitely see that as well. In terms of regulations, and that's very similar to what you just said, because we see things maybe have been moving a bit faster as well from a regulatory perspective. If you think wet signature, for example, do you see new regulations coming down the pipe to accommodate the new changes we see everywhere right now in the world and in Canada in particular?
I'm really hoping that we will see the same sort of stuff that we've seen in healthcare translate into the FI space. So as you know, I spent some time doing healthcare transformation, and it's tangential to the work I do at Sunlife. And virtual care has been a thing that many forward-looking people in healthcare have talked about for years and years and years. And overnight, when the government created a billing code, we saw the uptake of virtual visits go through the roof. And it doesn't serve all masters, but it serves many functions. And I think some of the challenges that the banks and insurance companies have had that they've not been able to kind of think through from a regulatory perspective. I think, again, there's just a lot more impetus for the regulators to be cognizant of really what matters to people. And again, really assessing actual risk, not kind of this perceived risk. What's the upside of maybe making amendments or changes versus the risk of having everything be exactly the same? Because certainly for many Canadians, this has been an extremely hard time. And the more we can serve their needs in an efficient way, the better.
Yeah. And so you spoke about Canada, obviously. I'm thinking global financial order, obviously more and more debt, protectionism. A lot of things have been changing in the last few months at the speed of light. Where do you see this global financial order or global order going in the next few months or few years?
I think it's going to be really interesting. I know I've been watching kind of high level signals because for me anyways, I'm much more of a design thinker than an economist. So, Excel spreadsheets are somewhat Greek to me, but when I start to think about how people are behaving differently and then how that behavior may translate into kind of how we work and how we live, I feel massive shifts in kind of people's risk profile, what they find important. And I've been having all these calls with people, and you see kind of cottage sales skyrocket and people kind of getting back to friends and family and spending a lot more money on certain things and then no money on other things. So I'm very kind of interested and curious to kind of watch what the winners will be and then how that translates kind of on a macroeconomic level to where things will go. And I really think, I was laughing and saying to a friend of mine the other day, I feel like now I kind of understand that depression area grandma mindset of not wasting a quarter of a banana, because, you can kind of scoff at it. But now that we are living through those sorts of decisions, I really do think it fundamentally alters people's worldview and by association, how and where they spend money and it has consequences for us all.
Yeah, definitely. And, I do believe that also the opportunity of mixing climate change and looking at more sustainable ways of doing things. And, the new generations are also a bit more mindful that maybe older generation, because they have the luxury, I think, to be more mindful as well. Let's be honest, when you were in the 1920s, I don't think you really had a lot of luxuries for that. So to your point, I think we're going to be able to witness, hopefully, changes for the better. In terms of resetting competitive positioning, you spoke about, the winners. We'll see who are the winners. What do you see already shaping up a bit in the financial services industry in terms of, I won't say winners and losers, but at least the ones who you believe will be able to weather the crisis better than others?
I think really, I mean, there's lots of talk about serving the needs of customers, but I mean, I think pre-COVID, some of that was talk, and talk is cheap, but there's a definite focus on the way we currently make money and the way we want to make money in the future. And it's mostly about the institution and not nearly enough about the clients. And I think this becomes very personal for people. And I think people are watching what organizations are doing. So I think the more organizations can kind of adopt like an activist shareholder or a humanistic approach. So yes, we're in the business to make money, but how do we do so in a way that's socially responsible and not kind of like a whitewash social responsibility kind of thing? Like if we were able to do this, it would benefit our clients. I think those are the people that are going to win. And I see lots of FIs making hard decisions that actually benefit people. And that's critical.
That's wonderful. And so you spoke about large FI in terms more of digital transformation, which is really, I would say, your bread and butter. What do you see really the focus being in this FI?
I think all of the very analog processes kind of were allowed to continue because, we have the staff and one day we will digitize these things. But COVID put that in very sharp focus. So many things that were maybe thought of as nice to haves before have become requirements. And a lot of the kind of excuses or reasons why people haven't acted are much less relevant now. So, e-signature seems to just be a no-brainer. And I know during COVID, I had a family member pass and I was kind of gobsmacked at the need for me to physically go into a branch. I'm like, I don't understand why you can't send me the document. I'll sign it. You EFT transfer my money. And they're like, well, it's a death, so it's different. And I kind of thought, okay, why? But I think those sorts of use cases and the imperatives around COVID are going to force the excuses. There were legitimate challenges, but eliminate some of the excuses, and people will kind of do things in a much more streamlined and digital way, and it'll serve people's needs much better, employees and their clients and their executives, because as I said, I think the folks that make those hard decisions to really serve their customers' interests, they're the ones that are going to win long term, and it's a long game.
Yeah, I agree with you, and you rightfully pointed out employees as well. We tend to focus on the clients, but when you're an employee and you have to navigate through 25 systems that don't talk to each other and manual process, because the person you spoke with, he or she was definitely not very keen to tell you to come, but they didn't have a choice. These are not easy conversations for them either,
Of course.
So that's very important. So, and for you, did you develop new habits? What has been the new Anna during COVID?
I think I may have ruined myself for the city. We have a little cabin in the woods, which everyone pre-COVID thought was crazy. You drive how long to get to some cabin in the woods? And now everyone wants to come visit. But I think the way that we live when we're there is maybe the new normal. We always shopped once a week because it's a 35-minute drive into town, and just simple things like when I'm in the city, it would seem very normal for me to make a trip to get pine nuts for a salad, because God forbid we have a salad without. And up there, you kind of say, here's what's in the fridge.
Yeah.
What do we want to eat? We need less things. And I come back to the city for a few meetings this week, and I walked into my house and I thought, whose stuff is all this? Like, first of all, why do I have all these things? And why do I need all this space? It's those minor shifts, I think, become major over time. Like, I don't know how I'll reconcile the two. But I think it's been really pleasant to actually be squished with my kids. We've had conversations that we've never had before because we didn't have the time or space, or we were so separated that we were each kind of living our own lives. And now everyone's kind of cramped into this 1,000 square feet and we all have to get along. But the upside of it is we're really much more connected than we were 6 months ago.
That's wonderful. I do believe there will be a lot of good that will come from the crisis, as unfortunately the bad, and trying to find like this type of silver linings are actually the best approach. Thank you so much, Anna, for taking the time. I know it's a very busy time for you, and and it's lovely speaking from the woods. And enjoy the tree house. I want to see the pictures, and anytime for a next video in a post COVID world very soon, hopefully.
Well, it's always a pleasure to talk to you, Peggy, and it's great that you're doing this series. I've been really enjoying listening to everyone's perspectives in this time. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a good day, Anna. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.